Hey guys, want to see how to create an industry takeover starting with a single paragraph that describes what you want? Let's start by asking GPT-4 to create a business pitch for us that we're going to use as the foundation or the crux for our business. So I'm going to paste in a paragraph that describes what it is I want. Create a short business pitch for my website. It offers to match visitors who've been in a car accident with an expert local accident attorney who can help them through their case. So if they've been injured and not been properly compensated, they should call us now for a free consultation to be matched with an expert attorney. All right, that sounds pretty good, right? I'm going to ask GPT-4 through this process right here to give me that pitch. And I'm going to use that pitch and I can launch 100 websites with it that are all totally unique and powerful, and we'll take that and move forward. Okay, so it gives me a good business pitch. Are you or someone you love struggling after a car accident? Unsure if you've received the proper compensation for your injuries? Look no further. Our website is here to help. We specialize in connecting you with an expert local accident attorney who will ensure your case is handled with care, professionalism, and the personal attention you deserve. Don't continue to suffer in silence. Reach out to us today for a free consultation and let us match you with a perfect expert attorney to guide you through every step of the legal process. It's time to take back control of your life and get the compensation you deserve. Call us now and let us be your lifeline to justice. Awesome. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to the next step. I'm going to paste that in as a backstory. Get rid of the spacing. And that's just it. Now I'm done. If I had domains already, like if we bought them and we were putting them in for IPs, then I'd stick it here. Right now I'm going to assume we don't even have any domains and we want 100. So I'm going to go ahead and generate this process and then I'll show you what it did. Okay, it's going through the processing now. All right, took about 7 minutes to go through 100 websites. Now, so it gave me ideas for the domains, and check this out. This is so cool, isn't it? Look at these domains, right? GetYourCompensation.com. It figured out really good domain names. ExpertAccidentAttorneys.com, AccidentLegalAid.com, SeekTheRightJustice.com, ClaimYourCompensation.com. It's got 100 of these. Okay. Now, along with them, if any of them, by the way, if any of them I don't like, what do? I just simply check mark those that I don't like and delete them. And then I say, hey, give me like, whatever that was, like 5 more. And I hit processing and it creates some more for me. So I get to make this list perfect right here, right now. So on the one hand, it created the domain. And then by looking at the backstory, okay, along with the domain, it was able to figure out a really good keyword for that domain. Okay, personal injury settlement calculator. I mean, the website's going to be all about everything. But having said that, it's interesting because it can draw people in. Again, this is something I can adjust if I want. Most of the keywords are what you would expect anyway. ExpertAccidentAttorneys.com. Hey, that's accident lawyer. Accident legal aid. That's car accident legal aid, right? Seek the right justice, legal rights. So it uses the backstory to create the domains. Then it compares the backstory and the domains to figure out the best central keyword for each domain. Okay? And then it goes further. It says, what should the main heading be for the main page? Okay? So it uses the backstory along with the keyword to figure out what the main page topic should be all about. So that's beautiful. We got GetYourCompensation.com as claim compensation. Get the legal help you need now with our accident attorneys. ExpertAccidentAttorneys.com's got claim compensation. Get legal rights with accident lawyer now. Accident legal aid, claim compensation. Car accident legal aid support. And so on and so forth. Okay? Now, I have this where I want it, so I'm going to export that list. Okay, and that's going to give it to me as an Excel file in some place where I want to save it. Now, why am I walking you through this? It's just neat to see how this process works now and how much control we have over it, right? For all of you guys who doubt that we have control over pieces of the process, or all of you who are just curious what we've been doing all this time, this is it. Okay, so now with each of those 100 websites, okay, they're in the system, and it actually gave me 108. The subtitles, it's suggesting 7, but what I'm going to do is change it up. 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, and then bring it back down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Why? Because these are subsections that go into each of those pages, and then we're going to create pages for every one of those subsections, right? So what do I want to make sure? That not all the web pages are the same length. They don't have all the same total sections to them, right? And that has got to make sense. It's about creating diversity. Some websites longer, some websites shorter, but treating the topic longer and shorter is good. All right, so here goes the creativity setting for how it writes, which I can change, but now I like it. It does a really good job. Main keyword, the main title of every one of those pages. There's the keywords, there's the backstory. Now I can make changes to any of this stuff. And once I feel like I've got it right, I'm going to close it. And what am I going to do now? I'm going to do the next step. And the next step, I'm going to import that file, and it's going to start to create all the layout. It's going to create all the subtitles for all those topics, right? And what's that mean? It means that we get to lay out everything that we're going to need for writing the pages automatically. So now I'm going to show you what that looks like, because it's important to understand that we don't fake it with the pages. I've seen on WordPress and other places, some people are trying to put in GPT plugins, but if you look at the content of the pages, they drift. The topic goes anywhere it wants to go. So the reason we created this process is to do everything in little bite-sized chunks, to make sure to write a section of a page, then refresh the backstory and think again about it and write the next section for the next subtitle, then go back to the backstory and rethink it and do the next subsection for the next subtitle. So instead of doing 100, it's just going to take a little while, kind of a long time. Let's not do that. Let me come back to 100% here. Let me just go ahead and check everything out. I'm going to delete it except for like let me see, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm just going to export these 5 here, okay? Because that's what we're going to use for this example. Okay. All right. So I've got it. So now what I need to do is go to the next step. And I'm going to assume that I already adjusted that file. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab it real quick. And that's this. Let's import it. And it's going to take off and do its thing. So again, it's not writing the pages because we're not ready for that. All we did so far was write a main heading for the main page using the main keyword, the main domain name, the backstory. But now what do we need to do? We need to take the backstory with that main heading to decide what subsections of that page we should write about. This is a variation of the also asked process that you guys have seen that produces all the questions. This is actually having GPT use its knowledge of everything on the internet to give us the most popular subsections, or to give us popular subsections. There are really many choices, but great ones, and build the page out of them. And these are sections that follow our backstory, so they're going to be really related to what we want to say. And again, we can adjust that. In that file, if I had any issues at all, I can change the backstory for every single subsection that we're going to make. Therefore, we have total control. And that's what I meant inside that Excel file. It's the reason that we created this step in the middle, because it seems unnecessary to download a file just to upload it for the next process, right? But that's because we want to make sure we like it. Is it doing what we need for the sections, the titles, the keywords, and the backstories? And is every one of these coming out the way we want? So if we felt like we should make a change to this backstory before we upload, we can do that. If we felt like making a change to this backstory for that row before we upload, we can do that. If we want to change a title, we can do that. Does that make sense? This way we have total control. And that's really, really important, because it's not how fast you put it up. It's how well it goes when it's up, because you're relying on this thing. You're relying on it to make you money over the course of time. Okay, so it's done with that next section. Now, just to give you the idea, it looked at the very first title, okay, with the very first keyword, okay? And what it say? By the way, it did 7 subsections for each of these because I didn't change the numbers after I downloaded it. It said, get the compensation you deserve as being the main section, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subsections that belong to this page, okay? Then what? Then it said, what comes next? It said, let's go to the next thing for the next page and figure out 7 sections for it. Then it said, what about the next thing? And come up with 7 sections for it. And it keeps going, okay? So it's creating 7 pages onto the website so far. Those are our pitchy pages. They're the ones that we want on the front end. We can always come in later and create a bunch more pages. But right now we're creating these. And we're doing it by having it go through and specifically detail out pieces that go with those pages, just the way they are. Does that make sense? That way we can absolutely get this thing where we need it to be for top quality. Okay, so when we go writing all these out, what we're going to do is write pages that are based on these sections all the way out, right? Okay, so there's that. Okay, so I'm almost done to the point where I can export this part for the next process, but I've got one more thing to do that's new. So before I export, either as a single file that's short, that's going to run all at once, or it's going to actually split the job up across multiple generators to operate in parallel, because we have 17. That means that we can do 17 requests in parallel. So instead of it taking like a minute and a half per page, we can do 17 pages in a minute and a half because they're all running in parallel. Yeah, we can expand that from 17 onward. We can keep going. So far, 17 is great. It means that instead of a job which used to take 17 hours to complete, now it takes 1 hour to complete. We save 16 hours. That's 2 work days for, somebody. So if you think about it that way, then that's cool. And of course, this kind of process, when it's creating the pages, it can run at night. We can set it and walk away. But what I mean to say is still, we save 16 hours on the production by being able to run in parallel. Okay, having said that, here's the thing. We got to generate short titles first. What does that mean? Well, think about it this way. If our subsections are this and our browser titles are browser titles, right, for the pages, the browser titles can be kind of long. You can have browser titles that are that long. Well, what about the page menus? Okay, we need the short titles for the page menus to represent each page. Like, for instance, here's a page menu title. This is a page. This is another one. That's another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. So when we're building the menu onto the websites, we need these words here, the short ones that are 1, 2, 3 words at the very most, right? So that's what this thing does. It generates those short titles for each of these pages. It generates it for that page and that page. That's different than the browser title. The browser title's got to be optimized for Google, but the short title has to be used for the top menu, because if we try to put long wording in there, then we're going to word wrap our title. That entire menu section is going to be like 2, 3, maybe 4 lines long. It's ridiculous. It'll take up most of the page, especially on a mobile phone. We can't have that. So there we go. We got that done, and we are now ready to export. Okay. For simplicity, I'll just export it this way so you can see what's going on. It just makes plenty of sense to see it in one spot. Just simply know that the other one separates all the jobs across where the domains are on each server and create multiple stacks of tabs where it breaks the jobs up so they can run in parallel. That's really all you need to know about that. Let me go ahead and just drop this and make the point about where we're at here, just so you can see it. And realize that this is cool. I mean, we're moving really fast. We're getting a lot done. We're doing it very well with a great deal of control. So just so you know, I've got my domains, okay? My domains is one domain, and you're thinking, why does it have so many entries? And that's for the index page, the main page, the home page. That's pretty much this right here. And then what? It's got those 7 inner pages. Okay? And then we've got the next website. We've got our home page and then those 7 inner pages because I didn't change on the file. Remember when I did the long file, I did the whole 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Then I did the short version of the file to save time while doing this production, and I forgot to change it. So it just had 7 subtitles each time around. Anyway, that's okay. So we've got our title for every page. This is the browser title. In effect, it's the kind of thing that should show up in the browser. We're going to wind up adding in company information, city information, company name for each of those subsections, but also for the browser title. So just in case you're wondering, yes, we absolutely have that under control too. And then with... the rest of it, just trust me, it's kind of really interesting how it all lays out. It's all here, though. The subtitles for each of the sections, the backstory for each case, how many words for each section, max 500, say. How many words for each title, max 18. What kind of tone do I want? I can use combinations of tones. I can change the tones out. They don't all have to be informal engaging. It can be professional engaging, it can be convincing, it can be witty, it can be formal, engaging, formal, convincing. See? And then I can just take that thing there, and copy that down a few times, and then just take that whole thing and copy it down. And that way, what am I doing? I'm just creating all of these interesting variations because it's writing totally different topics in this way, right? So how cool is that? So while it's doing these, it's got 40 pages here to do, really. It says 41 because there's a header row up here. See that? So along with that, it's got the pages, right? These are the page slugs. It's literally the URLs for the pages. And since in some cases it's got like multiple dashes instead of a single because there were multiple spaces, I'll just change all multiples to a single by doing this a few times until I know that we're through. There we go. And that way, there you go. All those page slugs are done. They're awesome. Now, are we going to enable the sidebar when we create the pages? I don't have a sidebar ready yet, so I'm going to say no. We can always add the sidebar in later and then reset to flip it on for whichever pages we want. Fill the meta description. Yeah, I do want that on because when it's creating each page, I want it to create a meta description for each page. So yes, it's taking care of that. So now we've got our browser title here, the nice long browser title. We've got the page title, which is really about as short as we get for the wording in the menus. These are the menu links. We're going to fill in the meta description for every single one of those pages that we create onto each of those websites, right? And there's more. Do we hide the pages in the menu or not? Once we go making like 100 pages for a website, we're not going to stick them all in the top menu. This is too hard to do. We're going to use internal linking, and we're going to hit one button to flip on links that match the verbiage through all the paragraphs on all the pages. It's insane. I'll break that out a little bit later. I'll point that out later. But there you go. So yeah, there's an exact match to the number of rows because it's got to match, all the information that we have here. It builds the pages out of both those tabs. One at a time, but it gets them done fast. Once it's written, especially if we're doing multiple in parallel. See, instead of doing all 40 all at once, we could split it up. We could have 2 instances work on their own 20 pages. Or we could have 4 instances work on 10 pages each. Or we could have 8 instances work on 5 pages each. That way, the whole thing's done in 5 times a minute and a half, basically. 7.5 minutes to get it all done, right? And that's what that other button is for. This one right here. Like I said, right now we have 17 instances we can run in parallel across the 3 servers where we're putting work right now, and that's expanding, and it's expandable. It's however we want it to go. 3 servers, 4 servers. So yeah, we imported, we generated everything, generate this, we get it going, we're good to go. We build in looping to make sure that we don't lose any data along the way. If for whatever reason there was a hole anywhere in the data, all we have to do, it's going to tell us how many holes there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to be like a red regenerate button. As soon as we hit it, then it's going to go back to work to fill in those exact holes. Then it'll report back how many are left and stay red until there is 0. So my point is, even though the system itself is not so robust, because as we all know, they keep getting layers of time when they get bogged down, too many people on there at once. And we used to have an issue where as we would do the work, we'd get holes. Sometimes the API just would not return any data, and it would skip to the next one after a delay period and just keep going and leave holes in the data. So we fixed all that. We've done so much to create the robustness of this process and ensure it's micromanaged for top quality. Just on this end of the spectrum, we're creating the best quality content you can imagine, and then we're doing the authoritative website expansion because it's what Google wants. And in the meantime, we're doing the monitoring so we can always see how people interact with the contents, and we can watch and make sure they're having a good experience and that there's nothing broken. So we are literally watching them move through the pages and see how they act. And not just that, our websites track all the users, and all the actions that we tell it, we get to tell the web pages what their jobs are, page by page. We get to mass upload the logical structure of what to do on the pages. You know, your top level video, if it exists on a page, it is a high importance thing. If people are not scrolling down low enough to see the video, move the video up. Every web page knows what its job is. And so we can watch, but the websites watch too. They make sure that the users are having good experiences, and the websites make logical decisions on a page-by-page basis to improve the quality of their experience on the web pages so that Google ranks the website higher for more keywords, for more topics. And as we create more pages, we just have more doorways in that deliver more clients, more leads, and more sales. How do we know that it's going to work? Because first, we're creating the best kind of content. Google picks up on that immediately. You don't need to tell Google other than submit your sitemap and let Google read your website. And when Google reads it, it's comparing it to competitors and going, wow, this is a really hot website. And our websites are. They have great foundational scores, incredible max page speed, GT metric scores, on-site SEO scores, HTML validations taken care of, all the stuff Google needs to understand the pages, know that they load fast, they have great experiences on them. And then the writing is awesome compared to the competitors. And the biggest thing that Google needs to see is that people hang out on the pages. They either spend time on a single page or they click links going to other pages of the same site. Okay? Google wants to see any combination of that. So on the one hand, we made it possible for us to see if that's happening. And on the other hand, we made it possible for the websites to measure how well that's working with all the statistics and actually improve upon itself on a page-by-page basis. It improves the pages to increase how long people want to stay on the page and or how many things they click. And we can do this with web pages, and we can do this with landing pages for PPC campaigns, for instance. All of it works from the same spectrum. All of it works with our same processes, our same templates. Okay, just letting you know, this is getting pretty wild. And yeah, this is all the stuff you guys have been waiting for. Everyone in the Decrypt My Leads positions, everyone who's going there, everyone who wants to get websites up and going, you're just understanding how it is that we're producing all this and why it's great quality and why it works. Okay, so I'm going to move from here to the next topic, and the next topic's going to be fun. It's walking through what we do from here. All right.